Steve, you and I dove into this little game that kind of took the world by storm called Palworld. And man, I gotta be honest, this one really isn't clicking for me. I saw everybody all over that, and we were talking about it here on the team, and we're like, let's check this out. It is basically what's been coined as Pokemon with guns. So we thought, yo, I'm all over crafting games. I'm down. Let's check it out. We get into this thing, dude, and the crafting is there, but it's not there, and it's just parts of it just aren't really clicking for me the way I was really hoping for it, right? I'm into some of these crafting games and there's survival experiences. So to get in on something like this, I'm like, yeah, like it's got to be good. Everybody's talking about it, right? Man, there's a couple issues that we'll get into later on, but for me, off the top, I was like, this just doesn't seem to click. We were talking to a good friend of the show, and he's like, yo, first day, 8 hours I was in. I'm like, 8 hours? Yeah. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be awesome. And man, I came off a couple, like I said, right? I came off a couple other survival games, crafting games, and it's just not really clicking for me like the way I was really hoping it would be. I don't know if it's just this overhyped scenario, and you go in, right, and you're like, huh, really? All right. But Steve, like, mechanics of the game are, you basically go out, you build your resources, you craft, and then the real hook of the game though is to capture all these little pals, right? Yeah. Which then you can bring back to your base and help you build, and you can organize them. So we've got a bunch that are like feeding our garden, and then they'll water the garden, and then they'll gather the resources, then they'll store it for us, right? They'll put it in our storage, and then when we go out to do battles and stuff, they come out with us, and we can take them along, and we level them up, and we level up. Like, dude, the game is in deep. Like, there's a lot to unpack when you get into this game, which I can appreciate, but I'm just gonna start appreciating it from afar. What about you? Where are you at with this?
Well, I've never played any Pokemon games. Yeah. So for me, I've just took that aside. So this is a brand new experience for me. And first off, I do like the graphics. It kind of reminds me of the cartoony, like the early Fortnites. And like I said, it is an early preview, so getting used to the mechanics, which for me, I did have some issues with. But again, putting that aside because it's an early preview. But it's one of these games that is good once you put the hours in. I mean, I've probably put 6 or 7 hours in, and my building, like you said, the crafting, you chop the trees down, usual things. You can only carry a certain amount of materials, build a base, use all your resources, and like I said, the main fun bit for me was catching the pals. And you will not always capture these straight off the hop, because they do break loose and they escape, but it's just the hours of the grind of chopping trees to get all the resources. But I will say it is rewarding though, as you do put the hours in, as it unlocks more features for, like, whether it's building or traps, and even like beds for your pals as well.
No, absolutely. It's definitely rewarding in the end. I think the highlight though really comes down to playing with the team, right? There's you, myself, and Scott, and we're out there, we're gathering resources, and we're just working together to kind of progress through, right? And then all of a sudden our base gets raided. You're like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. Kind of came out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to fortify the base. Like, I saw them, I'm like, oh, really? Okay, what's this for? Well, I found out quickly as we got raided. So yes, it was one of those things you start to build. Steve, the thing for me is the graphics are, wow, they're I feel like I'm on the Switch. Like, that's where it comes down to. I'm like, I'm playing on the Series X, and it's out on Steam. So it's on Xbox and on Steam right now, and it's done, like we said, huge numbers, like massive numbers. I think so high a number that I don't think the studio even expected it, right? Like, took them by surprise. I'm definitely interested to see what the long term looks like. I know they have a roadmap, but will it stick around, right? Players are hungry. Players are very, very hungry when it comes to these kind of games. How long can you keep this roadmap going? How long can you keep them invested in it? So watching from the outside in now, because it's just not for me. It just didn't click. Dude, I took a look at the wood texture, because we're crafting this like little mini cabin kind of thing. Man, it is ugly. Like, it is just ugly. I was like, oh crap. And granted, it doesn't have to be like the most, you know, realistic looking thing, but maybe just a little bit more stylized. I think the characters are stylized, but when it gets into the actual world and the textures and stuff. But again, right, it is one of those, it's early access. It's a preview build. So that might come later on down the road as they look to, you know, upgrade a couple things here and enhance this and enhance that experience. But again, going out, the three of us fighting off bosses, having a good time that way. Like, there is this this unique hook to it, right? That will suck you in at moments, because there are moments I'm going, man, this is cool. In other moments I'm going, I don't like this game. Like I'm just kind of, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster with it. One minute I'm like, yeah, this is neat, I like it, and then next minute I'm just like, I'm falling off, and I'm just, no, this isn't, it's not what I really wanted.
And it is a big learning curve. I found that because obviously each pal or animals or creatures, whatever you want to call them, they have their own ability, whether it's fire, water, or building, or digging, or doing something. So there's still, you have to learn each character to find out what his full ability could be. Because when you go into battle, obviously I found out, like the sheep, I'll call him the sheep, gives you the shield. So it sort of protects you. They roll into the enemy. Obviously the idea is the high level creatures that you want to capture is to window them down to basically nothing of health to capture it. But there's been a few times when I've went a little bit too far and then I'm killing them when you're not supposed to. But obviously it is obviously an open world, and I have to say that for the preview there is a big vastness of area to traverse into, and I do like the idea of actually having fast travel points to unlock as you find the columns to unlock them.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because here's the interesting part, right? As we are a guild, like there's 3 of us, we've teamed up, we're now part of a team. We go out, I find a fast travel point, but it doesn't unlock for you. And I thought that's kind of, man, we're working together, like we're a group, we are part of that, like we have a clan, we have a guild, so wouldn't that unlock for you? But no, you had to actually go out and find that yourself. So I head off in one direction, you head off another. Scott's still back at base working away, doing whatever he was doing, right? Cooking. So yeah, he actually did a lot of cooking. So like, I'm finding things, you're finding things, but we can't work together in that sense. And that was weird. We beat a boss fight. You died in the boss fight, you get kicked out. And then Scott and I were able to finish it off, but you weren't rewarded for killing the boss. So now we have to go back in to kill the boss again because you didn't do it. It's just,
get the perks.
Yeah, it's just like, man, it's missing certain things, certain aspects, like quality of life aspects, where that would have been, if we're as a unit, then it should kind of pocket around for everybody, right? And then the world is huge, which I'm like, yeah, I'm down for that. If this is what you're gonna get into, right? The world is big, I like it. The map is one of the ugliest maps I've ever seen. It is, you zoom in on that thing and it is so pixelated. It is horrible. It's like a JPEG image that you just zoom in, and it just gets worse and worse the minute you zoom in, and it's just an ugly experience, unfortunately. Hopefully that is one of the things they look to upgrade down the line. I'm sure it's not on their priority list by any means, but when you're going in to find the map and look for it, I'm like, huh, all right.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, because it's, you zoom in on, you move your cursor, you zoom in on an area, but then if you're not spot on where you want to look at, you can't physically move it unless you zoom out again.
Yeah.
It would be nice to zoom in and actually physically scroll around the map where you already zoomed in to find it, and then pull out if you want to go a bit further afield. So, yeah, I had issues with that as well. And the climbing, because I wasn't keen on the climbing mechanics, because, again, you do have a stamina health bar as well. So, again, until you... Yeah, so until you sort of get a bit further up, and then you can actually get these pals that you can actually ride to sort of help it, or fly, do that sort of explore a bit more. So a lot of times you are running, and that stamina health just keeps going down and down. And I notice as well, when you do climbing, that takes a lot of your health, stamina health, and if you're climbing quite high up and you run out of health, you fall.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then you die, and then you have to go back and find out, get all your belongings, like most survival games.
Yeah, no, that is the risk reward you're kind of experiencing, right? That is the grind when it gets into a game like this, is that you're gonna have to, you go into your character and upgrade your character. You can build your stamina up. So they have a lot of little intricacies delicated throughout the experience of the game. I thought, man, there's so many cool parts to it, but again, I'm just waiting for that click. See, because it is preview, we're not actually going to score it up, right? This is early access, so it's a kind of a recommend, not recommend, and I'm going to recommend with an asterisk, because this may not click for everybody, right? If you're not into the Pokemon experience, kind of say, you're not really going to get into this. But if you want something a little bit more hardcore, a little more realistic, there are other games that will allow you to do that. For me, it's just got its highs and it's got its lows, and it's got a mixed bag for me, so I'm there with a light recommendation. What about you?
I'm gonna say recommend. again, it's not my kind of genre of game. It's one of those ones, if I just had one game that I purchased and I'm enjoying this and then I'm happy to put 100+ hours into, then this is for you, because there is a lot of content for what they put out for a preview game, and if there is a roadmap, we just have to wait and see. But like you, it's hit and miss with me, and I'm not sure if I'll bounce back in as much as I would like to.